All right.
What do we got today?
B-side. I have a theme today.
Yeah.
B-side STL, we're back. As you know, we roll in with tunes that are 314 through and through. This is one of my guys. I love this guy. Scrub. That's his
So good.
He is he's the St. Louis version of
Little Eminem.
Slim Shady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could that possibly be in honor of our...
See what I'm doing here?
I see what you did there.
You picking up what I'm laying down?
Feeling a little Detroit vibe.
Yeah, but this dude, like,
He's awesome.
he's so good. He's got a song for those of you that are like, I'm into it.
Yeah.
He's got a song called Country Thang. Thang, of course, is how it's spelled. It is literally the encyclopedia of St. Louis, like his lyrics.
Really?
Yeah. Scientist with a pork steak is one of the riffs in it.
Come on. Please.
I swear to God. I will play it at one of our breaks here, I promise.
Is it pork steak season again, almost?
You know, is it ever not pork steak
not
season?
for me, but God, it really is a perfect
I do
piece
like
of
the char.
protein.
So, okay, so let's go down this road since we're totally riffing right now.
Yeah.
Pork steak, do you prefer it straight up just grilled, eat, or do you like a little bit of grill, a lot of bake, or do you like medium grill, more bake, foil?
Great. I'm a salt and pepper straight gas grill.
Really?
Yep. I'm not an all day slow roast.
So you like a little bit
I
of...
like it hard and fast. And
you like a little bit of thick meaty texture to your
Yep.
pork steak.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah, I think I'm more on the...
Do a little apple cider. Do you do the slow burn?
I like my pork steaks a little soupy.
You do the soup?
I want them to fall apart.
Oh, you like the slow cooker pork steak?
So...
Oh, I like it to where it's almost, you can hold it
What?
like flat, like a pork chop.
Yeah, see, I think that's a little too... not enough...
Amen. Love. Amen to your brother.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you do it right... Because I do like to burn it on the grill first.
Yeah.
Like take all the seasoning and everything, put it on there.
The
char the shit out of it. And then put it in a speckled roaster. It's got to be a speckled roaster. It's got to be old school, blue and white. And then just let it eat. Longer the better.
Why didn't that ever go elsewhere? It's like Lion's Choice. Like, I don't understand. There's some things come out of St. Louis or toasted. Why aren't there toasted ravioli carts in New York?
So, well,
there's a lot of...
because most of those people would be like, why are you going to drop
they'd
something
be mortified.
boiled into grease? Like, that doesn't make sense. True story, though. A friend of mine, Granite City kid, right? Goes out, moves to, oh my gosh, Boulder area?
Yeah, sure.
Colorado, years ago. We're talking, I don't know, maybe 97, 98. And true Granite City style, meets the local butcher. They're hanging out, having beers at the meat market, right?
Yeah.
And the conversation came up about pork steaks. And the butcher looked at him like, what are you even talking about? And he literally, I guess they were drunk enough, he let him work the bandsaw and took a pork butt.
Stop.
He said, look, check this out.
It's a Boston butt. They would know what a Boston butt was.
And then he just started slicing. And the guy's like, what the hell are you doing? And then he showed him how to cook it. And now this meat market outside of Boulder, like...
It's a thing.
It's their number one thing is pork steak.
Well, also just with the inflation, I mean, just the pricing of it.
Well,
it's
even
just
today,
the quality of it. It's unbelievable.
I was at Fresh Time the other day. You can get a
so
5-pack.
I know.
For like $6.
I know.
I'm like, are you kidding? I'm down.
I know. Yeah.
B-side STL, now that we've wasted
DTF pork steak.
4 minutes plus of your time. We actually have a theme coming here today.
Actually, which is another issue. DTF, St. Louis, you know about that coming out.
DTF, you're losing me on that one.
The trailer on HBO, Jason Bateman show.
Oh yes.
It's the whole new Rage, and DTF St. Louis is going to be on HBO.
What's the acronym stand for, though? Do you know?
I do.
Say it.
What?
It's an explicit pod.
Yeah, well, it's not down to fun. Yeah, but
Oh,
down
Yep.
to fuck. Yes.
okay, got it.
Yep. It's a
With
sex
Jason
club.
Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
He
yeah.
doesn't strike me as like a sexual character, though.
I don't. It's
I like
with,
his more dark humor stuff.
All I know is it's with Hopper
Arrested
from Stranger
Development.
Things. Yes.
Oh yes.
But he was also in. I get Hopper a lot from the kiddos. I apparently have some Hopper vibes, according to my niece.
I could see that.
Then, but he did also Ozark, which was
Yeah.
But DTF St. Louis is about St. Louis, but filmed in Georgia.
Of course,
And
because
then-
why wouldn't they?
And now this is just like Ozark. So yeah, I think it was Alexis Zotos. It was somebody who was saying, he really loves to do things about Missouri, but not film them here. So hopefully we've adjusted that with the tax credits and
Well, we
the
should
new
put that.
scene. But
We should put that on the dartboard.
but it's marketing.
Sorry, we got to get a hold of this guy.
Yeah.
Convince him because he's only seen the A side
Exactly.
of St. Louis and Missouri, and he's
I
like,
bet you he hasn't even seen it at all. I bet you he doesn't have the first clue.
"Oh, we could nail that."
Oh, bring it home. Yeah.
In our
Or his third project. Come on.
right. In our last episode, at the intro, we referenced your Jerry Maguire moment, as I call it, which is really kind of one of my favorite things that has happened recently in St. Louis when it comes to content. You really nailed it, dude. Like, I'm not saying it to stroke you and like try and make it part of the show. I legitimately think you nailed the article, and I want to bring it up again today because I have a feeling we'll probably talk about it with our guest in a little bit, just from a 10,000 foot view, and maybe dig into it a little bit. But a couple weeks ago, you wrote an article titled "The Grade in the Window," and you look at the picture, and I'm not going to tell anybody it was AI, but it looks a little AI-ish.
Maybe helped a little.
Maybe a little bit. And the grade was a D. St. Louis Region Inspection D. Okay, so if you are just kind of skimming and you look at it, you're like, okay, somebody doesn't like St. Louis. But the irony of the article is you love the town, right?
Yeah.
And probably because you love it as much as you do is why you gave it the grade that you did.
Yep.
Kind of being self-aware.
That's right.
And I was kind of going through this.
It's like you can say whatever you want about my brother, or your family. This is all
God.
we're within the house, but no one else can.
Yeah,
so
yeah. No.
I can. We're all in the trust tree, St. Louis. So
I have a really funny story.
don't
about
shoot the
that.
messenger.
I have a really funny one offline about me and my own brothers and a public spat between the three of us that turned out to us beating up somebody else because they said that it's a good one.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to get to this.
I
because-
viciously defend it when I'm out of town.
right. Yeah. Just like a rabid dog.
So exactly.
But for you, the listener, if you're listening, I'll have a link to it in the show notes. But it's to summarize quickly. We have issues, and one of our issues is kind of the brand identity and what happens when people come here, the first impressions from the airport to, if they happen to be staying downtown, what happens at 5 o'clock on a Friday, right? And they walk outside and they're like, oh my God,
If they're unchaperoned.
I can hear myself think,
Yeah.
right? Because there's nobody there, right?
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of these things, and you were kind of piecing it all together. And I want to read just a single segment of it and just kind of, again, get a quick summary from you and hope that you, the listener, go out and check this out if you haven't. Paragraph, quote, we tell ourselves it's just who we are. A city under a curse stuck in its ways, debating kids' menus and decor, the next district rebrand and ribbon cutting meant to, quote, change the narrative. Meanwhile, that same failing letter hangs in the window while the powers that be press it to the glass, insist, quote, it's not about the nail.
Yep. Literally.
Like,
I mean, if you owned, if you owned a restaurant, better yet, let's say you were the investor in a restaurant.
been both.
So you have been an investor in a restaurant. You get an F on your inspection grade, and you went to the manager of the restaurant. Dude, what would you say as the investor? You would say, what are we doing about the F in the window?
Yeah, let's talk about this.
And he said, actually, we're doing happy hour specials, and I just hired my buddy from high school. He's the new chef, and we have the cleanest kitchen, and it's not true. And we're actually doing really, really friendly to kids. You as the investor would go, I don't give a shit. What about the F in the window?
Yeah.
And for some reason, as St. Louis, we don't talk about that. And in fact, we're actually angry at the passerby for not going in and knowing how wonderful we are, for not walking past the F, so to speak. And it's bizarre. I'm sort of fascinated by the whole process of we could unleash the floodgates. And if the people of St. Louis truly understood the jumbo jets of talent and investors and potential students and donors and loved ones who literally just go right by us, don't even know we exist, all because of this weird structural anomaly dating back to the 1870s.
Yeah.
And we don't want to change it. But why?
Well, what's funny is clearly I've read it probably 3 times, but I know so much of the content that's in it through our own experiences, right? And what's made me really kind of scratch my head is, when you read the article and you think about the example that you just laid out, the people that are here seem to be saying, well, you just don't get it.
Right.
Go
inside.
And then there's
try the food. It's really good.
Yeah. Well, that's fine if you don't like it. Doesn't matter.
Right.
I'm going to still go there because you just the problem is you,
right,
Mr. Analysis.
It's their fault,
right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, because I've talked to a number of people about the article who are kind of stakeholders at different levels within the city, from small proprietors to making decisions, and there seems to be a little bit of hesitation. They all seem to agree with the premise, but take no ownership over the substance.
Yeah, interesting.
Is that kind of what you're feeling?
And that is too. It's let's say you're a business owner in the city, you're by proxy allowing the powers that be to stand in front of your business with a syphilis and murder sign. And you don't do anything.
S&M.
Yeah, and you
Only
don't
not
do
that S&M.
Right.
Better one.
You don't do anything
right? Oh
to remove them. So why would you let that kind of branding stay in front of your store? And then when it closes, they'll say, "Oh, the Cardinals had a rough season," or it's all these extraneous random reasons, none of which are the the actual reason that is preventing the hordes of pedestrians from walking to or by or coming to their business. And so I just kind of wanted to thread that needle. And the other interesting part here, that I didn't get into in the article, is that the last person on earth who should be motivated to fix the sign in the window and the grate in the window is actually me. Acclimate does best when St. Louis looks worse. So our phone rings
because you solve problems.
Correct. We saw when the more scared people are, the busier we get. And so I don't have any. My motivation is ideally the rising tides, more people. I don't think there should be an Acclimate. I actually think it's tragic.
I've never thought of
that
it that
there's an Acclimate in St. Louis. We shouldn't be needed. Ideally, one day, we solve some problems and we get ourselves to a situation where we're out of a job, and that'll be a happy day. I will find something else to do.
I've never thought about it that way, but basically it's there's a reason why there is not an Acclimate.
Correct.
Nashville.
Austin. Correct. Or Nashville.
Yeah.
Or Denver.
Yeah.
We've had some businesses like ours start in other cities and they get killed. They're not needed.
So I think we are literally on the on-ramp then for our guest today. because his job is literally to bring people into this chaos that we just so lovingly described, and has been doing it really, the highest level for a long time at a number of institutions. But joining us today from Perficient, Director of Talent Acquisition, Mike Grennier. There you go. Did I get it? There we go.
You got it.
Mike Grennier, thank you.
Yeah.
So, I number one, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, great to see you.
Number two, you've listened to us completely botch the intro.
Terrible start.
Awful. You're like, oh my God, nobody's listening to this.
Is this still on?
They're long gone.
Can I leave? Right now?
I'm wondering if you had like any kind of reaction in real time. Just give us maybe a little bit of color commentary based upon the article and what we were tossing out there briefly.
That article could not have spelled out the issue any better than it did. Honestly, I mean, we have so many issues in this town, but we have great people, but we have a lot of issues in this town. And that article that you talked about, why don't people recognize this? Why don't people want to change this? Why don't our leaders, why are they not taking action to fix these things? Why is that happening?
Yeah.
It's because they're insular. They're not thinking about it. They're not thinking broadly enough. I don't know what it is, but that article.
I really don't either, by the way.
No, I know you don't.
Yeah.
It spoke to me like that was the perfect article for an outsider coming into St. Louis to express the issues that are there. I'm not an outsider anymore. I've been here 12 years. But that was a perfect article that really spelled out the issues, in my opinion.
And that's who it was written for.
Yeah.
Also from that perspective, we think of ourselves from the internal point of view, but it's harder doing what we do, what you do. You put yourself in the outsider's shoes and knowing the gauntlet that they have to go through in order to come. And once they're here, they love it. Who wouldn't? But then they go, why do you make me do that? Why did you make me go through all that back where I'm from? And so one of the things about B-Sides too is culturally, but I wanted to also sort of shine a little bit of a light on what is talent acquisition. What is people will know a little bit about HR. They'll know a little bit about, they know headhunters.
Yep.
They know, maybe they'll know a little bit of recruiting, or they'll know realtors. But there's this whole industry that is truly in charge or has its hand on the throttle to a large extent about lives that are not only moving to St. Louis, but around the country. And having somebody of your position, I was hoping that maybe we could sort of share with the listeners too, what is the talent acquisition industry and sort of how is it evolving? And then also in middle market cities like this one.
Yeah. Well, there's three kinds of talent acquisition that you think about. There's at the lower end, it's the staffing, it's the temp staffing, that kind of work where, it's the Kelly Services of the world that find people for temporary jobs and staffing and that kind of thing. Great industry. At the high end is executive recruiting, the third party headhunters that are out there that find the executives for most companies. But there's this whole big world of talent acquisition that corporations have in-house in their organization. And their job, my job, has been to bring talent to my company. So I got to convince them to come to my company over competition. Mm-hmm. Why come to Perficient or wherever I was at before, over my competitors. And then in many cases, a little less so now, but in many cases, we have to convince them to move to our city for that job. So we're in many cases, we're selling the opportunity to that candidate, but also we're selling the location where they have to work. It's a little bit different now with the remote and Teams and Zoom calls and that kind of thing. It's not as prevalent to have to move, but that's what it comes down to. Our job is to help the company grow by finding better players.
And so there will be something like Korn Ferry or Spencer Stewart or contingency search firms or retained search firms, but they're doing it for all kinds of companies. Yeah. You're doing this for one specific corporation.
Yeah,
That's what the talent acquisition
so the things we focus on
departments you're talking about are internal.
Yeah, building out an employment brand. Like, why would someone come work for our company? What's the story about working for our company? What's the cultural elements of that? What are the benefits of coming to work for our company? All that kind of thing. In big companies, you spend a lot of time just sifting through resumes. I ran recruiting for Walmart. They get 15 million applications a year.
Sure.
Perficient gets probably 50,000 applications a year. Wow. Still a lot, but almost all of our hires come from us going out there and proactively hiring and recruiting talent to come work for our company.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was kind of looking through the timeline, the resume, the companies that you've worked with. Started with an organization company called Tech Team.
Yeah.
Pulte Homes, which is now, they were then
another little boutique startup.
Yeah, they're pretty big. Clearly, Walmart is the Goliath of all David and Goliaths.
They did okay.
Mallinckrodt, right here in the back. We know them here in the backyard.
Yeah.
Kelly, Deloitte, and now Perficient.
Yeah.
Moving around. Can you just maybe jump to the finish line and talk about being a Perficient today in St. Louis in a really competitive talent market? Where does this particular experience kind of fall, as it relates to the city specifically? Is it hard to get people here? What are you experiencing kind of on a day in, day out basis?
Well, two things. One, it's very hard to get people here, to be honest with you. Secondly, we're not asking as many people to come here, which is another issue we have because for example, our headquarters here is on the Maryville University campus out there in Town and Country, and we used to have our CEO and our COO and our CFO and all those guys that were in St. Louis. We've now have our executive team is in New York and Chicago and Cincinnati and San Francisco because we don't necessarily need everybody in our company, in our industry, to be in St. Louis because so many things happen on Teams and Zoom. But you also have a balancing act where I think there is a desire to have people that want to, we want to be together, but I think there's a natural desire to not be in St. Louis for a lot of these people we hire. So they're in New York, they're in Chicago, they can get to anywhere they want to go. They're in Dallas, and so they don't necessarily have to come here. Which creates an issue.
Did that which came first? Was that something that was sort of post pandemic or during the pandemic? Is that just how to serve all your clients? And location, does the location not necessarily matter, or do some of the cities that face this issue offer the opportunity to come and work for the company, but you could work in, say, one of maybe 3 or 4 locations?
Yeah, the pandemic accelerated everything. You guys know that. The pace of working from home for many years was happening, but the pandemic just changed the world. And in
10 years just...
It absolutely changed everything overnight. The access to video, Teams calls and that kind of thing. Even 5 years ago during COVID, the very beginning, being on a video call was a unique experience.
Yeah.
And now it's the norm, and everybody does it. And it's become the absolute 100% norm. Everybody has faster Wi-Fi. They got their video cameras set up in their home office. So even the concept of interviewing via video was a new thing that did not happen before COVID.
Can I ask, do you think St. Louis, not just St. Louis, but do you think city location, given the advancement in the technology, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, do you think that how has company location really played into talent attraction, recruiting? Is it something that is of increasing importance, or is it less so?
It's a little bit less to be in the city. So here, let me give you one example. We have an office in Fargo.
Yeah, sure.
And another office in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Yep.
Very small towns.
Yep.
For years, the employment in those towns was the local community, the colleges and that kind of thing. Now, with the advent of video calls and that kind of thing, you have companies like Google and Facebook and Amazon that are recruiting tech talent, and they're allowing them to stay in Lafayette, or Fargo, or even St. Louis.
Fascinating.
Wherever it is. And so you're not getting the need, the desire, the necessity to move to a city as much. Now you conflict that with the fact that coming out of COVID, no one saw anybody for a long time, but face-to-face still matters.
Yeah.
And so we want to have folks in our office 2 or 3 days a week.
Yeah.
But it's not required anymore. And so it's a different world now than it has been.
So people are kind of moving to a hybrid model just all over.
I think every single person I've talked to the last probably 5 years, we had a candidate. This is crazy. We had a candidate in Detroit. Our office is in Livonia, which is on the west side of town. She lived 15 minutes away from the office.
Yeah.
We made her an offer, wanted her to come in the office 2 or 3 days a week. She said, no, that's too much.
Wow.
I can't come in then.
Yeah.
I can't afford the gas. I don't want to come in there. It's too long a commute. And it was like 28 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the old days.
Even 3 days a week.
Yeah, even 3 days a week. And she said no. And so we see that a lot more. So it's become, the necessity to move to a city is becoming less. But I also think there's also a balancing act because people want that face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
And so there is a value in sitting down and having conversations at the, in the cafeteria of your office, that kind of thing, which doesn't happen over Teams.
And do early professionals really need it too?
Early professionals.
How do you learn anything when you're not learning by osmosis? I mean, I learned everything just listening to a phone call. And then I'm sure the older, so it's probably Gen X. We probably are like, or anyone with families are like, I'm not doing the coming in, but
I'm down with getting rid of my phone.
Yeah.
If you only want to meet in person, I'm interested.
Me too, actually. Me too.
I think it's going to hurt the younger generation more than anybody else.
Me too.
Because they have that, they need to be around people to get that osmosis that, hey, just, kind of like the unofficial coaching, the unofficial conversations that happen in person.
So let me ask you this, because I'm thinking in terms of comparing and contrasting Bentonville, Arkansas, right? Walmart HQ and the amount of recruiting that you did there. Gotta assume it was probably for national offices and locations, but Bentonville's HQ.
Yeah.
And then you look at where you're at here today in St. Louis now. And kind of a themed question that we often approach is this whole affordability issue, right? Can you take a second and talk about what cost of living, what affordability or quote cheap, here in St. Louis, which is kind of a dirty word in a lot of circles, where people want to avoid that to help the brand of the city. But as a talent acquisition director, where does kind of that the cost reality of this area, pro, con?
It's a huge pro. It's a huge pro of having the affordability here. I mean, we know you guys are in St. Louis. We're from St. Louis. This whole podcast is about St. Louis. There's amazing stuff that goes on here. And you can do it. You can afford to go do those things. And I'm not going to bring up the free zoo.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing. I'm not going to bring that up. But
beep.
Delete that. Cut that out. But you can do all the things you want to do, but be able to afford to do those things, to go to restaurants and go out to the movies and go out and hang out with your friends, because you can afford to have a rental place that isn't $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Or buy a home that's still relatively reasonable and that kind of thing. So I think it's a huge advantage of St. Louis. And so now the issue we got to overcome is the overall brand of St. Louis.
So let me ask a part B to this, because obviously Perficient dealing, in an absolutely exploding tech scene with AI and everything else. I mean, you guys are frontline in the next gen. Kind of reminds me of growing up in finance in the late 90s, the .com and all the startups, et cetera. This current marketplace feels like that.
It does.
So as a leader in that area where talent is coming from everywhere, is there a specific strategy as it applies to our region because again, a lot of these kids that are doing this work, they can really be anywhere. How are you utilizing St. Louis as part of that draw?
Well, a lot of the people we do recruit they don't have to move here. That's one reality we've got to kind of face. But for those jobs we do, we leverage people like Anthony and to get them acclimated to the community and that kind of thing. So there's a certain branding element of St. Louis that we spend a lot of time talking about with these candidates and say, hey, this is why you should come work for my company and why it's in St. Louis. There's advantages. You can live close to the airport, that kind of thing. Get to wherever you got to go, but do it in a very affordable way of living here.
Is that sort of your what is the, and what, it doesn't necessarily have to be for this company, but any of the, what is sort of the pitch or the position that you see of HR or you see talent acquisition or home office recruiters utilizing? What is sort of the St. Louis script, if they have one? Or does it need work?
Unfortunately,
I can tell by his facial expression. He's like, we just offer more money.
Yeah, I mean, you're in those rooms. Yeah,
yeah. You kind of do have to offer more money a little bit here to get folks to come to St. Louis. But I think the pitch comes down to the affordability. I hate to go back to that term. Lifestyle, the way you
logistics
some of the logistics. Yeah. I've heard you say for years, Anthony, this is a 20-minute town.
Yeah,
you can get wherever you want to go in this town in 20 minutes. Traffic isn't that bad necessarily.
Yeah,
and so there are some real lifestyle choices that this city offers that people can take advantage of.
Yeah,
the climate's great. The things to do outside are great. Kind of the things that you can see and do are great. I think we need more companies here.
Yeah,
that's a different issue.
Was it similar to? And now I know you're a Detroit native as well, and I know that they're dealing with some of the same, dealing with them quite well. I might add some of the issues of growth. But what is that pitch in Bentonville different than it is in Detroit? That's different in St. Louis, or do they all sort of share some common threads?
I think they all share some common threads. I mean, Detroit is where St. Louis is still going through what Detroit did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Detroit has made a very conscientious decision to turn the table, turn the tide.
Yeah.
And they've brought more businesses into downtown. They've improved the downtown experience dramatically. Yeah. You can walk down the streets, which we have just recently. My family lives up there in Detroit still, so we were there for Christmas time, and you can walk the streets at night in downtown. Some parts you can't, of course, like any big city.
Yeah.
But there's a vibe that is happening in Detroit, primarily because folks have moved back into the city.
So I have family up there.
Okay.
Have for a long time. We go there often, primarily for soccer. As a kid, Boblo Island and the old Pontiac Dome, yep. I get it. But the one thing, like being kind of a nerd about this stuff that I've noticed, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but it feels as if part of Detroit's revival and its conscientious decisions that it made in its strategy, it feels like there's a separation from Big Three. It feels like Detroit is really kind of trying to become its own thing and not just the motor city. Would you agree with that? And if yes, St. Louis has plenty of similar motor city connections, right, through our own spine. What would you advise?
It's exact, and this is where the parallels between Detroit and Bentonville are pretty tight. Because
what are they?
Detroit was all about the big three. So Ford, GM, Chrysler, and the suppliers. And that's who you worked for. And if you worked anywhere else, you were at a restaurant as a waiter or maybe a car salesman or whatever, or a teacher, that kind of thing. Bentonville, for many years, was Walmart and only Walmart. And in fact, I used to meet with the CEO of Walmart once a month or so, and he would ask me, so he said, Mike, from a talent acquisition standpoint, what should this town do more of? And I said, honestly, we need more corporations here. We need more companies here.
We need more small businesses.
Yeah. We need more
you mean the ones that... hold on a second.
Exactly. Ones you just displaced?
Yeah.
If you guys have been to downtown... You've been to a downtown Bentonville, there's an old grocery store that was there for 50 years. It's kind of like the same level as like a Schnucks or that kind of thing, And it was this really cool little place downtown, a little small town. I can't think the name now, but Walmart went in and bought the building,
of course,
and wiped them out. So,
got that one last little thing.
Yeah, it was terrible. But But the story is the same. Detroit had to get away from the big three and bring in more businesses, bring more innovation, bring more, the music scene and corporations, that kind of thing. And Bentonville has done the same thing. They've had a lot of these suppliers have come down there. I just heard that, for example, Specialized Bicycles just moved their headquarters to Bentonville a couple years ago. And so that's the issue. That's where the parallels of Detroit.
It's mountain biking in Northwest Arkansas.
Massive.
If you went downhill mountain bike, if you are mountain biking, which is huge, that's where you're going to go.
But there's not many mountains in Bentonville. And there's as many mountains in St. Louis as there are in Bentonville.
Yeah.
So why don't we do something like that?
Right.
And that's where I think that the parallels between Detroit and Bentonville exist. As far as St. Louis goes, I think that's a gap we have where we don't have enough corporations in St. Louis to bring talent.
What's our hook, or what's Detroit's hook? Is it grit? Is it change?
Oh my God, yeah. It's like the Lions.
I notice watches too.
It's mom spaghetti, baby.
I have adopted your football team, by the way, so thank you.
Oh,
I know you know that.
Is it? Is there a greater player than Barry Sanders ever?
The
answer is no.
There is no better player. There is no better
player. Well, let me ask advice then. Just put on a consulting hat for a second. You've been here for 12 years. I think you're kind of picking up on the through line and what that I'm thinking about, that we're talking about. St. Louis has some themes or traditions that kind of like are part of our culture, our history, but maybe unbeknownst to everybody that loves it, are kind of part of the handcuffs that are like slowing us down. What do you see that is like something that you just, for example, I always joke about, like, I don't want to hear about a toasted ravioli anymore. Like, I get it. It's on the menu. Yeah. I don't want to hear it anymore. What's something that, like, if you had to advise, hey, St. Louis, you need to move past this.
Yeah.
Because look what Detroit did.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we could have a whole podcast just on the foods that are only in St. Louis. You guys have done that?
Yeah. We have not.
That's a weird thing in of itself. Like,
totally.
Toasted ravs.
You love St. Paul sandwiches, don't you?
Yeah. It's a unique thing. And like you
Red
said,
hot riplet dust on everything.
Exactly. That's a whole different podcast.
On my salad.
So here's the thing. And Anthony, your article was spot on for this. And so let me draw an analogy, if I can, that just is off the cuff. So just bear with me.
Sure.
But think about a CEO of a company. That CEO and their executive team, they have one goal. This is a publicly traded company. They have one goal: grow the company, right?
Yep.
And they grow revenue, grow people, all that kind of thing. That's their goal. If they don't grow the company, they're gone. They get fired, right? So think about, and the people are good in those companies, but it's the leadership that you've got to that has responsibility for growing the company.
Yeah.
When you compare leadership in St. Louis and comparing them to a leader, like a CEO of a company, as far as I'm concerned, the leadership of St. Louis, their number one goal, maybe it goes with safety, but they need to grow the company.
Yeah.
To grow the community. And because the people here are great. The employees of St. Louis, if you will, the stakeholders of St. Louis are fantastic.
Amazing.
But the leaders of St. Louis are not, or have not been.
Yeah.
And here's the difference. The CEO of that Fortune 500 company, if they don't grow, they get fired. They get fired.
Oh, yeah. But here,
the CEO, the mayor, I'm not picking on the current mayor, but leadership in general.
Well, here, their children get reelected.
They get reelected, and they get reelected over and over and over again. And so that's the confusing thing to me. It's like at some point we got to say the leadership here has to change and do something dramatically different, because doing the same thing over and over again is not going to work. Yeah. Detroit went through that. A lot of the old mayors in Detroit are in prison right now,
right,
because of fraud and whatever else they did. But that leadership of St. Louis, and I'm talking leadership of the city and the county, they've got to come together and do something different.
And do they just don't hold to, they're not being held to that standard. So it's okay just having not grown the population or gotten a new company or anything of that nature. It's just the standards are low. I'm not sure why. And maybe that is partly to what you're saying earlier, JB, about the people here are kind of insulated and they don't think about that necessarily, but or maybe it's a legacy economy and you're second in the world in unearned income and you don't need to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know. I'm guessing.
But I think we all want to see that. So when I recruit talent here, one of the issues we do here occasionally is that, well, if I come work for a company here, and if I lose my job, where am I going to go? I got to move again.
Yeah, I've never thought about that away.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. That's a strategy.
If you go to work for a company in Dallas, and you lose your job, you can find another job.
You're going right around the corner.
Right.
Yeah.
St. Louis, you got to move again. So that's a risk.
But do you, though? Like, this is one of those things, right? Because I don't think you do.
That's true. Yeah.
Because they're, for example, in your world, Perficient, you're leading in that AI, that tech. Well, okay, so I don't really vibe. There's this little company down the block called Worldwide Tech.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We can go on and on and on, right?
Good company, right. Great.
I tell you what, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to get some refills. We're going to recharge, reset. I really want to get into 12 years in, the good, the bad, the ugly. And then I also want to, I got to get into the Detroit thing. I like this Detroit-St. Louis compare contrast because, obviously you grew up there. There's so much that is the same about these two markets. And one is getting it done and the other, and us. We're us.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's a D grade.
I think one acknowledged that they had a problem, and the other one maybe.
Well, I wonder what they did. You know what?
St. Louis just still isn't quite there.
What did they do?
They do not like to acknowledge there's anything broken.
What did they do with the stakeholders? Because it's, most of the time for these macro changes to occur, somebody's got to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're going to have some fun. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more Mike, more Detroit, more Perficient, and beyond. We'll be right back. Like, review, follow, share. B-side, STL. Little scrub on the way out, Crystal City. I'm telling you, Scrub and Ace Ha. Spotify, go check it out. You'll love it. It's a poor man's Slim Shady right here in STL. Be right back. Pardon the weed. I'm only here to make it awkward and harder to breathe. All right, we're back. Rolling in. Sounds a lot like Motown.
No.
It is not Motown. It's Lewtown.
Lewtown. I like it.
Lewtown. Here you go. Check this out.
In the world today.
Sounds like Motown.
Brian Owens, North St. Louis's own Ferguson native.
Mr. Brian Owens.
We cut this album over at the old studio, the old Dig.
Is this new?
Gaslight Studio. Sounds old.
Yeah.
Recorded on 2-inch tape.
Wow.
True. Live. One take.
No kidding.
Yeah.
He is
actually, we can
talented man.
We can nerd out for a second. Here's a true story. So, the project that this comes from, it's called the All St. Louis Review. Al Halliday was the producer.
Yep.
Collinsville kid, phenomenal musician. He decided that what he wanted to do was cut an all-star review album of St. Louis's best performers, like Brian Owens. And each one of them brought in their song that they wanted to do. He brought out the Wrecking Crew. So it was a circle of 12 artists, rhythm section, strings, brass, everything, harmonies. And each artist came in and the band knew the songs and they literally stood in the back of our warehouse. We cut it in the warehouse.
Wow.
Live takes. Brian Owens walks in, hears the song, and everybody's ready to go. And he comes in really, really fast, walks straight up to the microphone. The band starts playing. He sings it. Then he's like, okay, let's do it again. He sings it again. Let's one more time. Let's check it out. And he sings it the third time. Now, we're doing this to tape, right? It's not digital. You can't.
Yeah.
So then we go to the control booth, because it takes 4 minutes a song, right? So roughly 15 minutes later, we go back into the control room. we rewind the tape. We play the first cut, and he's listening to it. We get to the verse, and he's like, no, let's go to the second one. We fast forward, get to the second one, start to play it. He's listening. We get to the chorus, get to the second verse. He hears a pop, a vocal pop, goes off and goes, okay, that's it. That's the cut. See you guys. Leaves.
Knew it.
And that's the song.
No kidding.
So it literally took us less than
knew
30
he nailed
minutes to nail it. So that's all St. Louis Review. Go check it out, people. I'm playing that in honor of our guest today because there's Eminem, and I love my Eminem. I'm a huge Seeger fan.
Absolutely.
I like the deep cuts though, eights and aces. And then the king of all of it is Motown.
Absolutely.
Would you say that, like, when you think of Detroit from a cultural standpoint, what is most important? Is it the grit? Is it the cars? Is it Motown? Like, if you had to describe it, because that's one of the debates that we have here in the Lou. Like, okay, what is St. Louis? What do we really stand for?
Now watches are up there.
Yeah, watches are in Detroit.
Yeah.
Shinola.
Yeah. Detroit Watch Company in Shinola.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Grit is a relatively new word to describe Detroit. Last probably 5-10 years, it's kind of like the Lions are using it to describe their team. But it's true. I think there's a blue collarness to Detroit. There's a lot of millionaires in Detroit, but there's a blue collar mentality in Detroit
and billionaires.
You're
true. Catching up on the billionaires.
Yeah. It's a growing market, no doubt about it. But the general population has a real solid blue collar attitude. And so there's a little bit, those famous T-shirts that I have, one of those I should have wore it today. It says Detroit versus everybody, and people feel that in Detroit. And Detroit, kind of like Cleveland a little bit, has like this negative brand in the marketplace, and so Detroit has embraced that, honestly.
Yeah.
And they said, "Hey, come at us. We're Detroit. We're Detroiters." And if you, and also I think there's a certain reality of the fact that the auto industry was going downhill 25 years ago.
Correct.
So a lot of Detroiters have moved out of Detroit, but they still have this heart about Detroit. I still have that. My heart still is in Detroit.
Yeah.
So there's a certain heart that goes with being a Detroiter.
Like the steel folks in Pittsburgh.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
There's just like this real strong feeling about being from Detroit,
Yeah.
And so I don't know
the Brewers from St. Louis.
What's that?
The Brewers from St. Louis.
The beer company. Yeah. So absolutely right. Good example. Yeah. So but I think there's this there's a us versus them mentality, and when it's us versus them, you kind of like circle the wagons and say we're gonna kick their ass. We're Detroit.
Yeah.
And that carries over to the Lions game. Remember back in the 80s, the Detroit Pistons, the bad boys.
Yeah.
I mean, Detroit was on a run.
Yeah.
It couldn't get over the proverbial line in the NFL, even though they had Barry Sanders.
I know.
But
don't remind me.
Pistons,
Yeah.
they were brilliant until a guy by the name of Michael Jordan came along and said, "Oh, time out, boys."
Yeah.
But I think did beat him once.
I think the even greater dynasty was really the Red Wings. Yeah. What they were doing in the Yzerman years. And all the Russians, right? It was the NHL hadn't seen that.
Yeah.
Not like that. And everybody just kind of like glossed over the fact that all of this was coming from a city that was, for all intent and purposes, dead.
Yes, very much so.
Very
much so. Yeah.
And so like I guess here's my question, because we bring it back to the 314. You've seen it. You grew up there. You saw these things in Detroit and what happened, and you see this rebound. 12 years in here, what are some of the things that, maybe historically speaking, that you think we should not let go of? Maybe what is one thing that we should let go of? And what are you liking right now that is kind of percolating that might be a little bit different than expected?
That's a loaded question.
Big question.
Loaded question.
Don't screw it up.
I'm not going to screw this up.
Okay.
I think the thing that's been keeping St. Louis down is this city county split for so long. I'm not a very in tune political guy with St. Louis communities and that kind of thing. But,
Sure.
But that has got to change. We've got to figure that out. We've got to scrap that, figure it out, like kind of get our shit together from that perspective. Because I go back to the earlier conversation we had. We've done this for so long and it's not being fixed. That said, I think the best thing about St. Louis, there's an amazing group of people here that live here that want this town to succeed.
Yeah.
And it's you call it the constituents, the stakeholders, whatever it is, the residents of the area. They want this town to succeed. And when the town succeeds, when you have something to kind of like look to and carry a sense of pride, people rally around that. And I think that we, as a community, we have great people. Some of the greatest people I've ever been around in my life live in St. Louis.
Yeah.
2 of them are sitting right here. But we have the ability.
I'm looking around.
Yeah, it's not well. There's a guy behind you. But we have this ability, this innate ability. But for some reason, the leadership in these communities have blocked our ability to grow. And so we've got to figure that out. That legacy, that history here, that has blocked our ability just to be a thriving community. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it is.
Do you think that the companies, and I've often wondered when I look at something like Pittsburgh, I look at UPMC, I look at Carnegie Mellon, or you look at Chicago, or you look at Cleveland, you look at the Cleveland Clinic, you look at Key Bank, where kind of in a roundabout way how you and I met through my mentor in Cleveland. They sort of acknowledged as the employers, we want to get the talent, we want to grow the company. They were on the line and they acknowledged what was broken, and they really kind of went in with an iron fist and fixed it. Yeah. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But in St. Louis, they haven't really wrestled the control. There seems to be one element that does not want to be found and does not want St. Louis to grow and very much wants to remain under the radar and small. And then you have the other element, the corporate and institutional element, that does want to get bigger and does want the world to know and for people to find us. And so do you think that we sabotage it on purpose, or why is it that the local constituents or the municipal governments or the small governments, if you will, why don't they want to be found? It's almost like they want to be kings of the ashes, or they want to just still stay really private. And I don't know, what do you think that's about? And what changed? What was it about Cleveland and Detroit and Pittsburgh and some of the other Rust Belt markets that really got on board? Was it their corporations? Was it that? A
little bit. I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't speak to the mayors of those towns or the leader, the city leadership of those towns. But I think the people here, I think whether or not they know they want it, they really want this place to grow.
Okay.
I really think that once you start seeing growth, which equates to improved property values, all that kind of thing, more people moving here.
They'll like that.
Better restaurants in downtown and better access to the community downtown and cooler events, and the music scene, it's a great music scene today, but it gets bigger with more events, that kind of thing. So I think people, that's why I go back to the fact that I don't think it's the people here. I don't think they purposely don't want us to grow.
Okay.
There are some leaders probably, but I think in general, the population here wants this city to grow and thrive and do well.
So you don't think it's by design? It's not intentional?
It may be intentional by some of the local community leaders.
Yeah.
That's why I go back to the leadership needs to change.
Yeah.
Well, I also think of this through the lens of like a squawk box analysis, right? CNBC, right? In the morning. And let me know what you think about this, because this is a theory I've been testing in my own mind, because, for the most part, you have, in the world of equities and publicly traded companies, you basically have value companies and you have growth companies, right? And I think St. Louis is kind of like clearly just kind of anchored in the value marketplace, in which a lot of value companies are looking for We're going to just increase our margin. We're going to get a little bit more efficient. We're going to maybe trying to find a way to increase dividends, but we have so much wealth. We have so much asset. We have low overhead, right? We're there. Whereas on the other side of the spectrum within the marketplace, you have growth style companies that are like willing to take risks. They're looking at, spending and investing and taking risk because instead of a super solid 8.5% annual return, they really want that 12.5, that 15, that 16. But yet here in St. Louis, that 8.5 on the amount of wealth that we have is a big, big number.
Yeah.
So the incentive to rock the boat from a financial perspective seems to be, I don't know if we really need to do that.
Yeah. I can see that.
Would you, because like when you think of St. Louis in your time here, 12 years, who do you see taking chances? Who do you like with the message or maybe the market or the product or, trying to change things? Is it Perficient? Is it Kavanaugh and Strunk over at Worldwide? What do you see?
I see some of that with some companies. Enterprise is a good company in town. Obviously, they do a lot of community work for the community to make this a better place to live and be around. I don't know. I don't know if we, even Worldwide, as great as a company it is, they're a fantastic company. I want all those places to be downtown St. Louis.
Yeah.
I want companies to be downtown because I hate this. Happened in Detroit. There's. You mentioned 8 Mile earlier.
9 Mile.
9 Mile. The center of St. Louis or center of Detroit moved to the suburbs.
Yeah.
And you can make the argument that the center of St. Louis moved to at least Clayton, if not Chesterfield, and that kind of thing, right?
I would say
Page extension now, right?
Yeah. And that kills the city.
We're so dispersed.
If you're going to be in a suburb in St. Louis, you might as well be in a suburb of any town.
Yeah.
There's no culture. There's no, cool factor to being in a suburb. And I think that we've got to figure out a way to get people and businesses downtown. Anthony, I think you should run for mayor. Yeah. I'm serious. I think we need to change things up so much.
Timestamp.
Stop.
Yeah.
Cut that last part. But I think we've got to change things so much.
How much have we had to?
Yeah. That bottle of Elijah Craig is gone.
This will actually get you elected. People will be like, he's one of us.
Exactly.
Elijah Craig. Yeah, that's right.
That's your whole campaign strategy.
That's exactly right.
But I think we need to change things up so much and get people downtown. I think that's what has been missing for so long. And so I think the people here want to grow. Your analogy of the value versus growth stock, I think people, once they start seeing the benefits of us being a growth stock, will get on board very quickly. So
yeah, they want to go to where they think the puck is going, but they need to see a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
And they need to see a little bit of, they need to see some life and some possibility.
And that's where Detroit has rallied. Even Shinola and those kind of places.
They need a
Detroit.
foothold to.
Yeah, you get very proud. Like you wear your Shinola watch and you go to town and people see that that you're wearing a Detroit product and and I think St. Louis wants that.
Yeah.
Well, so
maybe we should all get our Manta watches.
Well, I was literally going to say with Manta, I got his card right over there, and there's so many things watch. Like that. Like we could literally name any apparel, any type of tech service or whatever, and we know somebody in this region that are performing in their field at the highest level.
Yeah.
And yet we have an impossible time aggregating kind of and explaining the ingredients that make that so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the brand identity.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess for you personally, let's talk about you and what you do for fun.
All right.
12 years in, I'm not going to ask you what high school you went to because that doesn't really matter.
And I don't care officially.
That's good. That is the right answer. Where do you lay your head? Give us an idea of your neighborhood. What do you like to do? What are some of the things that kind of, have become part of your St. Louis normals?
And so we don't forget too. We need to discuss maybe Nicky Slices. Could that be construed as
over on the
Detroit
hill?
Style, and then Detroit Pizza Company, and what are you? Where are you pizzaing these
I'm not.
days?
I'm not emo pizza. Emo.
Yeah,
pizza,
I know.
that's for
I
sure.
know that.
There's not enough edge,
No.
caramelized edge.
Right,
Yeah.
I used to, my actually job in college was I was a bartender, but also we made Detroit style pizza. So my job every night was to oil the pans every single night.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man, the deep squares.
And you were a football player in college, correct?
yeah, many years ago. But yes,
Yeah. You're still the quarterback.
yeah, I still played quarterback back
So which of our little fiefdoms is home?
then. So I live in Clayton, and so it's the Des Moines area. So it's interesting. When I first moved here, I had a corporate apartment for about 6 months, and I was asking my coworkers, where should I live in St. Louis? And the head of marketing said to me, you can live anywhere in St. Louis as long as it's Des Moines.
Wow.
And that's what she said to me. And so I was like, okay,
Hilarious.
what is Des Moines? I had no idea what Des Moines was.
Yeah, no one does. Yeah.
And so I ended up getting a place right there in Des Moines. And I've always lived within a mile or two of Des Moines since I've been here for 12 years. So, and I love it. I absolutely love
She
Des
has
Moines.
fabulous taste.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
And she's moved out of St. Louis now because
Yeah.
she's retired. But I was I love the city of that whole community around Des Moines. It feels like a little community within a bigger community.
Right.
You know, and great restaurants right there. You
Yeah.
know, you can go casual for
the
a
little
burger.
strip right there.
Oh yeah, you can have a casual burger at Barrio,
Yep.
or go high end to Louis, kind of middle ground to Sasha's.
Yep.
Just a great place.
Yep.
You know, close it out with a little ice cream at Clementine's, and so that's where I spend a lot of my time. We spend a lot of our time in that area.
And then get your steps in at the park.
Yeah,
Walk.
yeah. And walk off the
you-
food.
You're right.
Yeah.
And do you do Fox and Hound
Oh
to
my
Cheshire
God.
across the way?
I unfortunately or fortunately know the bartenders pretty well.
Yeah,
Fox
yeah.
and Hound.
Incredible place.
Yeah,
It's the winter bar. It's my winter bar too.
And I didn't know it. I was actually
Yeah.
looking for. In a previous life, I was traveling a lot internationally, and I was looking for an Irish pub, and
Yeah.
couldn't find one necessarily. There's a few in town here,
Yeah.
but someone said go to Fox and Hound. I was looking for a Guinness. They don't
Yeah.
sell Guinness there, which is weird. But
Yeah.
because it's a British pub, I
Yeah,
guess.
they're Welsh. Yeah, they're British. Yeah.
Yeah. But I found that
English.
place.
Plenty of gin.
Yeah, well, and whiskey's pretty good there too. They make
Right.
good cocktails.
They do
yeah.
do a mean whiskey. And then how about the Yale Wine Bar and the
Cool
Parker's
place.
Table?
Cool place. Yeah. Parker's Table is
It's our
incredible.
new addition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Yale Wine Bar is getting there. You
Yeah.
know, it's kind of like a
work
newer
in progress.
concept, right?
Yeah.
Work in progress.
So
And then do you do where do you get your brown water? Are you a wine and cheese place guy? Are you Parker's now? Or
I
you,
am. Yes.
yeah.
Well, I go to Parker's once in a while, but
Yeah.
Wine and Cheese right there on Forsyth and Clayton is probably the number
best.
one go-to.
Yeah.
Right. You know, they have great selection there. If I'm not coming back from Louisville with a collection of whiskey, but
That's probably the best whiskey selection in any store, maybe in the country.
Yeah.
Certainly in the tri-state
oh, it's very impressive.
area.
Yeah. Absolutely great. Yeah. So we're
Listeners, if you are a fan of the brown water wine and cheese place on Forsyth,
yeah.
is really something.
A huge selection.
Yeah.
Very.
And then they made the one out in Town and Country into the tequila spot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I try to not go ever.
it's lower calorie for all the soccer moms.
Yeah. For the
I
Town
mean,
and
let's
Country
call
mom.
a spade here, man.
Well,
Come on.
you know,
Just so happens to have all the best tequila selection in the country is
Which, by
right
the
there
way,
in Chesterfield.
I drink tequila a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I try to stay out of. Don't go west of 270 or 170 if I can avoid it.
Well, it's so funny. So a really good friend of mine, Matt Stelzer, is him and his brother and a partner. They own Amsterdam Tavern over on Morganford Soccer Pub, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I remember
I've been there. Yeah.
He always jokes. He's like, I'm like, hey, you're gonna come out? We're going here for drinks or whatever. I live in Webster, and he goes, well, where are you going? And I'm like, well, we're gonna go to pick your burb, Kirkwood or whatever.
Yeah.
He'd be like, I don't go west of Skinker.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I recognize it. I like this guy.
I spontaneously turn into dust.
He's
Yeah.
like, nope, I don't go west of Skinker. Forget about 270. That's unspoken. So my question to you, though, is, you moved around. You were in Bentonville at Walmart. St. Louis comes on the radar. Prior to coming here, did you have an expectation? Because now, like, you fluidly, 12 years in, it's pretty easy, but you're really fluid in, like, oh, this neighborhood and Des Moines and here, blah, 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 boom, bouncing it off. But, we've all moved somewhere else. I moved to Chicago. That was pretty easy because it's like there's plenty of options. You've been a mover. When St. Louis was where you knew you were going, any consternation,
No.
worry, or were you just like, yeah, whatever, it's another Rust Belt?
I lived downtown Detroit, which was at the time the murder capital of the world. I lived in downtown Cleveland for a while. I lived in St. Louis. So
Hashtag not afraid.
Right. I'm not afraid of that stuff. I think there's good people wherever you go. I think the fact that I like the diversity of the town, of the city. I like the vibe of the city, the music scene, the things to do. They're not homogenized like you might get in a suburb. I like the fact that we have a cool vibe in the downtown-ish area. I'm not in downtown. I'm in Clayton.
Sure.
But I was not afraid of that. I was open to that. I think now the perception of St. Louis has probably gone down a little bit the last several years, and so we've got some work to do, I think, to get there. But in my opinion, I never thought about that as a way to not come here. I was always going to come here for a work and find my way, and I've been able to make some really, really good friends here in St. Louis.
Can I ask, just as a professional, are people moving? Are they moving for jobs? Are they moving for lifestyle? And then are they moving for the position that they want, and then they pray like hell they love where they live? Are they moving because,
or the opposite,
or is it which does come first, the chicken or the egg? And you might not be able to exactly answer that, but as the economy changes and the world changes, I remember back in the day, this was many years ago, and we were working for a gentleman. Who was kind of in a headspace of like, they're lucky. She's lucky to have a job.
Yeah.
I don't care if she's like happy and likes her neighborhood and found the good pizza. Versus other companies that have a very different culture of, it is very important that they love their city and they understand the city that their company's in. What are you kind of seeing out there in the landscape? As in talent acquisition in general, is it changing? And then I want to ask for the early professionals out there, how you can get into a role in an industry like this.
Yeah. So let me address your first question, which is about do people move for jobs?
Yeah. Is it really just the paycheck and then everything else is kind of secondary, and is that changing?
Yeah, it is changing. So I think people move for jobs to New York or Chicago or Atlanta or Dallas.
Okay.
LA, the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, that kind of thing. I think people move there for those jobs. I think the rest of the country, which is about 90% of the country,
correct,
you don't have to move as much. It's a lifestyle choice at that point.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think if you're going to go work for Morgan
Stanley, you can
Stanley,
stay in your hometown.
You can stay in your hometown. I think if you're going to work for Morgan Stanley, you likely have to move to New York. If you're going to work for Facebook, you likely have to move to Silicon Valley.
You got to go to Cupertino,
right? But in general, the vast majority of people don't have to move. So I think it is a lifestyle choice.
Huh.
And I think people have to make that choice now because of a lot of folks here, and you know this, Anthony, and both you guys know this. A lot of folks that have come here or left here come back for a girl, because it's a great place to
relationship.
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time. The St. Louis private school women are like sirens from the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Send everyone out all over the world.
They start singing, and it's like flies to a light.
Dudes too. Just St. Louis is just like they always win. The Arch is a magnet.
The St. Louis, it's a great place to live because I think it is a lifestyle choice once you're here. And there is a great lifestyle here. That's I think that St. Louis has a fantastic community feel, that kind of thing. Again, I go back to that concept of the people here are absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So let me interject.
Do you see them moving to Nashville first and then looking for a job, or moving to Denver first and then looking for a job, or Philadelphia or New York? Does that ever?
Nashville's a cultural move.
Yeah. Like,
natural.
Do you see
so
that?
can Denver.
Yeah. Denver for sure.
Yeah. Denver, Nashville. Those are potential. Austin is kind of a cool move.
Portland. Like Seattle. Geez.
Right. But I don't think a lot of people move without a job.
Really? Yeah.
I still think. I mean,
not anymore. Maybe
not as much anymore because they can find a job somewhere else, and they might move because the company wants them there, or whatever else it is. Or they move. If they're in a small town, they want to be in a bigger town. I go back to that point earlier that if you're in Dallas and you lose your job, you can find another job in Dallas.
Because Dallas, is just booming.
Booming.
Yeah.
Atlanta's booming. Dallas is booming. LA's booming. All these places are booming. If you move to a St. Louis, or if you're here in St. Louis and you lose your job, you might stay in St. Louis.
Yeah, because you love it.
Do you think, though, that some of those cities have a little bit of a shelf life on their boom, so to speak, in so much that there's a big difference between buying access to talent, like Dallas, state of Texas, its tax policies, its approach to businesses has resulted undeniably in the explosion.
Yeah.
Tampa,
but there's signs
Scottsdale.
of that armor cracking a little bit, from a cultural standpoint, from just from sprawl, the explosion of tolls and everything else. Like, it's not really that cheap anymore. It's not that cool anymore, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that it's like cities have to be really smart to take the cultural advantages, take the experiences, take the lifestyle things, kind of like what you just described about Damon in your own neighborhood, find a way to package them better, because at the end of the day, a job is a job is a job. And yes, everybody wants to make more money.
Yeah.
But if you're going to grow, there's this cyclical nature of, some things don't go away, and that is personal happiness.
Yeah.
Right?
Think about the towns you just mentioned. Nashville is music town. Detroit is Motown, right? And all these little towns have a hook.
Yeah.
What is St. Louis's hook? I don't know the answer.
We don't have it yet.
We don't have a hook.
Yeah.
And I think we got to have a hook. Somehow we got to figure that out. Who are we, in this town, and what does that look like?
We're not Baltimore.
That's
by saying what you're not.
well. I used to.
You're saying there's a chance.
I spent a little time in downtown.
I actually like Baltimore.
Baltimore's a great town.
Freaking brilliant lately.
Well, I used to live at downtown Cleveland, and they used to have a saying that at least we're not Detroit.
They can't say that anymore.
Well, but Detroit would say at least we're not Cleveland.
Yeah,
it's like this weird Lake Erie thing, But,
exactly.
But you. Describing what you're not is one way of doing it. That's a strategy, but I don't think that's a strategy that St. Louis needs. I think we need to have a strategy around, like, what is our hook? What's the reason for being in St. Louis? And it could be, like you mentioned, Bentonville has Walmart, obviously, but they also have this huge culture of cycling and mountain biking and that kind of thing. And there are no mountains. I mean, there's a few mountains, but they're not mountains. They're hills.
Now, do people stay in Bentonville or Fayetteville after, let's say, they're not working for a supplier, or they're not working for if they're not working for Coca-Cola, one of the companies under Walmart, the distribution? Do they stay there, or they come in, they go to school for they come to work for Walmart, and then they leave?
I think they stay, because then it becomes
interesting.
Because Bentonville, above all else, is a growth story. It's a growth stock.
Fascinating.
And they stay because it's a growing community. You have more people coming in. The neighborhoods are growing.
It's like,
wow.
I think of Bentonville as a sister city to Omaha.
Wow.
Right, where you have Berkshire.
Yeah.
And everything that Mr. Buffett and crew.
Yeah.
So all the subsidiaries, all the suppliers, everybody
the insurance
wants to be close to the mothership.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what Walmart did to Bentonville.
Yeah.
But it's funny because they also didn't make it about themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Because here in St. Louis, again, we try to make it about an STL thing, but to your point, what is that?
Right. What is the hook?
We don't even define it. Like we can I mean, you do it as your day job, Anthony.
Yeah.
People fly in, you pick them up and okay, what do you like?
Right.
Right? And you go through that process.
One of the things that we do that I think is a little bit different is that, a lot of folks in St. Louis they're very interested in how the newcomer or the company or the developer or the talent, so to speak, helps them. Like, how does it help us as St. Louis? How does it make St. Louis look? How, here's what they will be able to do for our city. And they say it to them, like, this is what you're going to do for us. This is how this looks.
Interesting.
Whereas it's what you say, what our friends say, is that how is St. Louis for them?
Yep.
Like what I do when I pick them up is I don't go and show them all the different things that this is your chance to make an impact or a dent in the universe. This is or your children's lives or your own life. This is how you can participate. How, what do you want? What do you want to get out of it?
Yep.
How is this, like, how can I and St. Louis be of service to you? Instead of this sort of show me state dynamic, which is, here's how you're going to help us.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's your pitch.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Do you kind of, would you concur, because obviously you're talking to top talent on a daily basis, and there's the technical, the X's and O's of the reality of the position that they're applying for, and the compensation and benefits and all this other stuff. Can you break down maybe what the ratio is of selling the job, company, benefits versus for those that would need to be here, or if it's a local hire or a transplant? What does that balance look like for you as a salesman for the city? What does that look like?
It's hard. It's a little, the reality is, I'll be honest with you, the reality is right now, most of the folks we hire don't have to come here.
Okay.
Don't have to relocate here. That's just the reality post-COVID. It's an unfortunate reality.
So let me interrupt real quick then.
Yeah.
Do you try to get them to move here?
Yeah, we want them to move here.
Like, but you personally,
it would be the preference.
I'm asking you more about, like, forget about Perficient's preference.
Yeah.
You, Mike's preference. Like, at some point, you're 12 years in, maybe at 13, 14, 15, where you can say, I kind of feel like a St. Louisan, even though I know you're never going to give up Detroit.
Right.
But, at what point does the kind of selfish, hey, this is my brother, we've joked about that, today, you really should be here and here's why.
Yeah. I want people to move here bad. I really want this to be a growth story. I want downtown to be rocking. I want people to come here and see. I don't want people to move here and go to Chesterfield. I want folks to come here and stay in this area, this part of the town, downtown or this midtown area, because that just helps me overall, helps me grow, helps us grow, helps our property values increase. It's just easier to meet people that way, friends and that kind of thing. I really want people to be here. I really want people to know, and there's no reason this can't be. Why in the hell is Nashville and Louisville and St. Louis? They're all the same, basic,
Indianapolis.
They're all the same kind of town.
Yep.
Why can't we grow like those guys are growing? There's no reason we can't. Yeah. Well, there's one reason. It's leadership.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the leadership of the community. The leaders, the leaders of St. Louis and leaders of the county that restrict our ability to grow.
Do you think St. Louis should go out of market to get out of its own ways and bring in leadership that is more experienced?
Now you're thinking like a recruiting professional. That's fantastic. So yes, I think that if you only promote from within, to use your analogy, you might get the same result. If you go outside and bring in different level of talent that has seen the growth story of Nashville or whatever else it might look like,
sort of
then you
there
have
to here.
Yeah, then you bring that vibe, that energy, those random strategies that our people in St. Louis haven't thought of yet. That's a really interesting thought process. Honestly, you should be a recruiter. Seriously, that's why I'm in business, because you hire. People get better, companies get better because they hire better talent. Football teams get better because they have a better quarterback.
Yeah.
Soccer teams get better because they have a better midfielder.
Yeah.
Right. Communities get better because they have better people leading.
Well, let me jump on your analogy there. You know, the sport analogy. A soccer team gets better whenever it admits what position is the most efficient. Right. So when you think about St. Louis and we think about what is not working,
Yeah.
well, the decisions that are being made at the top are not trickling down and manifesting into wins.
Yeah.
We can all agree. You know, it's like this is not you know a secret book or a handshake that nobody knows.
Yeah.
It's all publicly present.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Like think about the Detroit Lions for a second to bring up Detroit again. What changed the culture of the Detroit Lions? Do you know that the Ford family bought the Lions the same day that JFK was shot?
Whoa.
So
yeah.
1960, whatever, 63,
Yeah.
whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
They had 50 years of bad times. They finally changed. Now, it's still a Ford member, but they changed the leadership. They changed the ownership.
Yep.
That owner brought on new coaches. That coach brought on new quarterbacks and new players. So you have to change the top to have any chance of changing the organization.
So let me ask you a super simple. Well, it's not a simple question. A brand 101. You are the marketing branding agent for the city of St. Louis. What's your pitch? One-story building.
King for a day.
Two-story building, elevator ride. What are you saying in a one-floor trip?
About why St. Louis, or what do we have to do to St. Louis?
No. Forget about. We know we need to do a lot.
We have the free zoo.
Well done. Well
edited out.
Well done.
Take that out.
And the free museum. Have you been to the park?
Yeah, you've been to the park? No. I think that St. Louis has all the things that you need to have to be a thriving community. It's got amazing music. It's got great restaurants. It's got great theaters. It's got great concerts, all that kind of great people. I think we need to do more. Change the top, fix the community approach, and then people will come, I think. And so I think that I'm not answering your question directly necessarily, but I think that we've got to figure that out. And I think that until we change the top, until the Lions changed the ownership, nothing's going to change. And if we don't do that, and if we expect different results, it's never going to happen.
I love it. God, I feel like we just kind of like beating ourselves up on this one, and I love it. I like a good self-deprecating episode, Anthony.
Sorry, but did I bring the party down?
Ask a talent manager.
I'm in talent.
Yeah.
Well, no, I do think it's funny because I've had a lot of people asking me, that are starting to pick up on the reality and the existence of the show, and I think that the fact that we continue to talk to individuals like yourself that are, that didn't grow up in Lindbergh and went to SLU High, and we kind of regurgitating the same successful stories that we all high five on, is really kind of opening some eyes, because the reality is you still love this place.
I do 100% love the St. Louis. I love
it, and I think a lot of people here think that individuals like you hate this place.
No, it's the opposite.
I think that's the most fun part of this process, because it's like
our roughest calls are coming from inside the house.
Right? Yeah. No, and so many focus groups are going to go and sit down and,
but I think that's important to ask, ask New Yorkers and internationals and newcomers and transplants and boomerangs or replants or whatever you want to call them. What are you liking? What's working? What's not? Has anybody ever asked the people, the outsiders even, what do you think about St. Louis? What do you know?
Well, I think that
looked at that information, and I don't know, I think it'd be very revealing.
I do think
instead of just asking same old,
And not to nerd out on the econ guy in me again, but I think we are treating this town like a value stock.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Where let's just get the dividend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not,
Grow like 2%, 5%.
right?
Yeah.
Right, because we already have so much wealth. We know we have wealth.
And I mean,
Right.
they see it. The newcomer sees it. The fresh eyes see it. I mean, the article, the grade in the window, what I was talking about. I'm not a particularly bright. I'm just reflecting what is being told
I'm not
to
a
me.
particularly bright guy, but I went to Georgetown.
I'm
and
not
wrote-
saying. I'm saying that I'm sharing what is being told to me, and so looking at all that information, there's a lot of really valuable insights there that. If we just listen.
Why don't you just say, like, look, for a moment in time, I was a badass. I wrote this article. I'm not going to be self-deprecating like the rest of us.
It was all my idea.
It's a good article. It's a
You laid in bed. Like, I mean, I'm going to keep bringing this up because I think that I do believe that at some point through this process, we're going to be able to constantly go back to that.
Yeah,
As,
I do too.
Like, here, look. This is when we decided as a community to be like, I'm actually looking at what I see in the mirror.
Yeah.
Which we need to do.
And I think if I could just toot your horns for one quick second, that article, Anthony, hopefully has been read by the leadership in this town.
Yeah.
These podcasts, like it's shining a light to your point about looking in the mirror. It's shining a light on what this town needs to do.
Yeah.
At a grander scale than a one-off individual, conversation, and make it a bigger issue.
Yeah,
that's what's gonna fix this town, I think.
Well, because we're all competitors.
Yeah.
Again, I can say whatever I want to say about my brother.
Yeah.
But at some point, I got to be okay with you saying the same thing.
It's like a Shawshank Redemption. Get busy living or get busy dying, and we really have to. We have a decision to make here. I mean, it's. We gotta pick a lane. And if we want to become Fort Wayne, Indiana, and just kind of go quietly into that night, fine. But
come on,
you got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing.
All right. So rapid fire on the way out. I'm going to play us a little scrub in the background here. I mean, it's an obvious question. Detroit, deep dish, the square, St. Louis, thin crust. What where are you?
That's not a question?
It was a question. It was a
question.
rhetorical
Where's
question.
your slice? Where's your slice? Don't. Yeah.
Next question. There's no comparison.
Tigers or Cardinals?
Well, American League, National League, so I'm okay with both.
That was a trick question. You did well there. Babalo Island or Six Flags?
Forest Park.
Well done.
There we go. All right, Mike. Hey, thank you very much for joining us, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Love to have you back here in the future. Let's kind of recap, regroup, because there's going to be more of this. I really had a lot of fun today.
Yeah.
I hope you did as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony,
Thanks,
you.
Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, you also the Elijah Craig.
Hey,
thumbs up, baby.
Anytime.
Good call.
Friday afternoon. This is the way this show should be done.
Hey, you're the morning guy.
I do like morning stuff.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll us out of here. Be sure to give us a like, review, follow, share. I've been talking about Scrub all day. Today I'm going to play the country thing on the way out. Take a look. Take an extra 2-3 minutes here. Listen to this one. This dude is a STL poet. Check this stuff out. Until next time, we're out. Here we go.
Friday.
But everybody's a scientist with a pork steak. We're watching WWF's foreplay and family reunion, another word for court date. The showman, how me, but they can't even show me teeth. I'm for when motherfuckers really feel